And then how do those forces affect or like embolden some of the
Got you.
I mean, I think ICE and the police are two faces of a coin. I think that coin is tendentially fascist, to put it that way. And I don't say that, you know, it's not an exaggeration, to be clear. And I think for evidence of that, you look at not what is said by just the general society about police, for example, but what is said by the Fraternal Order of Police, which is the fascist spearhead of policing, right? That want total power, they want total impunity, they want to totally be able to kill black and brown people without any kind of consequence. And then if you look at ICE, and what is it that ICE does, and what kind of thuggery are they involved in? And when, for example, the Muslim ban is passed, and you see that, that ICE and Customs and Border Patrol are going beyond the impositions of the Trump administration, going out of their way to enforce this even before they're told to enforce it, because they also represent this sort of externally facing fascist, sort of institution. So I think police and Customs, Border Patrol, ICE are very much related, and they face in slightly different directions, you know, toward brown people, toward black people, to kill them, to deport them, to control their bodies. And I think the resistance to both has got to be the same in a lot of ways. Direct action, community control, organizing in migrant communities to prevent ICE, for example, from functioning, organizing in communities in Philadelphia to oversee the functioning of the police and prevent them from even being called and prevent them from being able to do their work. And so I think the two are so bound together because their logics line up so clearly. And at this moment, they line up so directly with, you know, with this White House and what it's trying to accomplish.
Yeah, and they're animated by that kind of nativism. It's fascinating to see, right, the whole no one's allowed in narrative, right? No outsiders in the kind of, whether it's the kind of irrational and bizarrely selective refusal to allow refugees in from Muslim countries, but particular Muslim countries, right? Like Saudi's fine, just not Somalia, right? You know, so forth and so on. Egypt's kind of okay, but definitely not Syria. That's governed by a sense that we can control the very borders and the very land that we stole, to erase and rewrite our own historical narratives in such a way that we present ourselves through policy and through practice as the natives, who are being arbitrary and selected by who's allowed in and not who we can police, who we cannot, whose citizenship gets called into question and whose does not. Very similar. And we see this globally, right? Where suddenly people who are immigrants themselves and relatively new ones are able to fashion themselves as a perennial presence in a space, and then sort of somewhat arbitrarily and violently, to be sure, govern other people's ability or limit other people's ability to enter. And so when I see ICE, when I see the police, etc., the standard day-to-day police forces that patrol, they seem to be an extension of that logic and of that practice. And as you said, they're opposite sides of the same coin. Yeah.